And well, hello everybody. Welcome to Serenity Cards and Coaching. My name is Leela Monkey, and I'm super excited to share a few things with you today. This month happens to be watercolor month. So I'm going to feature watercoloring, and oh my goodness, it's so much fun. So just a few housekeeping things. There's one more day for an ordering special. And so if you order from me, and you use the at leelamonkey.stampinup.net using this host code, you can get a free card kit of 4 cards. And so let me show you those. Minimum 35 order gets you this free card kit. Minimum 50 gets you even more, and minimum 100 gets you even more. So this is the free card kit, and there's one more day for this ordering special. Thank you to those that have already ordered. And I might go over that a little slower at the end, but I like to just get right into what we're getting into today. So today we are going to do 2 things. We're going to do a fun fold, and then we're going to do watercoloring. So here's the fun fold I'm going to give you the instructions for. And then we're going to watercolor some roses, and we're going to watercolor some pumpkins using a very unique technique. And so I'm going to get straight into the fun fold. Now, this fun fold is part of a kit called the Happiness Kit. Some of you guys that are on here got this kit, and I showed you all how to make all these cards last week. This is the one final card that I haven't showed how to make, so I'm going to show that today. I've got instructions in the PDF. This is using the Happiness Abounds stamps, which are beautiful. And so let me show you this fun fold. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to start out with a piece of cardstock that's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and so that's just going to be your card base. And again, this is all in a PDF. If you want to get that PDF, those of you who have the kit have this. But so I'm just going to kind of talk through it pretty quickly. But 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 for the card base. That's Melon Mambo. Now let me show you how we did this fun fold, and I will show you these measurements. You can take a little screenshot if you want. I'll hold it here for a second. 5 1/4 by 11 for your designer series paper, and then you're going to score 4 places. And I'll go through it slowly and show you, but you're going to score at 1 3/4, 3 1/2, 5 1/4, and 7. So let me show you that. You've got your designer series paper, and you're going to cut it at 5 1/4 by 11. Those of you that purchased the kit, you will have at least one piece of designer series paper that has the roses going from yellow to pink. You might have 2, but you will definitely have at least 1. So this is our piece of paper that's cut to 5 1/4 by 11. And it's really important that you get the measurements the right way. These are the right measurements. You're going to score. This is our scoring board, which I love. Our trimmer also scores, but I love this scoring board. You're going to score at 1 3/4. And then you're going to score at 3 1/2. And then you're going to score at 5 1/4. And then you're going to score at 7. And so after you've got all those score marks, you're going to take your bone folder and burnish it really, really well. So come in with your bone folder, and you're going to want it folded this way. You're just going to give it a good score and a good burnish and a good burnish, so you get a really, really good fold. And then you're going to adhere it to your card base. So quite a few of you on this call have this kit, so I wanted to show you. I'm also going to have a couple pictures, and I've got this spelled out step by step in the PDF, which will be finalized today. But that is how you do that guy. Now, how do we do this folding piece here? How do we do that? We take a piece of cardstock. In this case, we've got Daffodil Delight. We cut it to 3.5 by 7. We score it in half at the 3.5 mark. Daffodil Delight, 3.5 by 7, score at the 3.5 mark. Those of you that got the kit, I would have done that piece for you. And then you're simply going to take, now you've got this glued down already, you're simply going to take and you're going to put a little bit of adhesive here and a little bit of adhesive here. And you're going to glue or tape that fold right there. And then it's going to open. Well, I'll show you on the one that's done. It's going to open like this. And then you have a piece of basic white on the inside to mat. You've got a couple pieces here. You can cut some designer series paper. Of course, that's going to be 1 1/4 inch in. So that's going to be 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. And it's on the back of that side. And then you will have gotten a couple square pieces. One of them has this die cut in it. So you will have gotten that piece. And then you will have gotten another basic white that's just going to fit on the inside, and you can do those sentiments. So I wanted to show you that for those of you that have the kit. But really what we're going to focus on today is how do we make this exquisite flower. And so that's going to be the rest of what we do today. If you guys have any questions on that fold, if you've tried it already, or if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to go straight into the.
I do have a question. Did you do the die cut of that that piece with the holes in it, or is that?
I did. Now the sample doesn't have it in there, but I did include that in my kit. So my kits include lots of die cuts where I can, and so I did. This is the Happiness Abounds. There's stamps and then there's dies that match. And so this is the Happiness Abounds stamp set. So we're going to be working with this rose today. And then I didn't bring the dies over here, but the dies that match, that's a die. And it just makes a really beautiful background. So in my kits, I always try to give some die cuts. So you will have gotten that rectangle. That square. And so, yes, my intention was that was going to be right there. So you're going to get a stepped up version of what this sample is here. So yeah, fantastic. So now we're going to make these flowers. Okay, so I'm going to change from the fun fold. All of that's in the PDF. You can get it on my website later tonight. If you got the kit, you'll get it step by step. If you ever have any questions, please feel free to ask. But now we're going to pivot and we're going to watercolor those roses. And then when we're done with that, I'm going to also show you another, today's really main focus is going to be watercoloring. So I'm going to show you a few different things that we can watercolor. All right, so let's get some space here to do what we need to do. I have already embossed the roses. I'll talk you through a little bit how I did that, but since we're mostly focusing on the watercolor, I'm just going to talk you through that quickly, and then I'll really slow down and show how we do the watercolor technique. Hopefully you can see that there. There's a couple things to note. This is our sparkle white paper, and I just can't get the light to catch it right, but this is really sparkly. And so I love, it's great. It takes water really, really well, and it gives some sparkle. So this is our shimmer white paper. That's the first thing to know. And then the next product that I'm using for right now is I'm using the Happiness Abounds roses. And so I've used this guy right here. And I'll show you just a few other products. Let's say you're looking to place an order because it is celebration time and you're looking to get to 35, 50, or 100. So you would take your shimmer white paper, and I'll just quickly show you some steps. There's this amazing new kit for embossing, and it's fantastic. And I'm going to be the first to tell you, I have tried these trays before, and I have not liked these trays because I didn't know this tip, which is you could put a piece of paper in there and it makes cleaning easier. And so now it is my new thing I'm smitten with for embossing. So you get the embossing buddy, which is always a must when you're going to emboss. You get this tray, you get this brush to kind of clean things up, and then this tweezers with a plastic tip, and it goes really well. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your shimmer white. You're going to use your embossing buddy, and you're just going to kind of, I think it's like a talcum powder, but you're just going to get all the fingerprints and all the everything off of there so you can give a nice stamping. And then you're going to come in, you're going to want to use what's known in the industry as a pigment ink. We call it craft ink. So you're going to want to use a craft ink, or you're going to want to use Versamark. Those are the two things that we offer that you could use. I like using the white here. We're going to use white craft ink, and then we're going to use white embossing powder so that we can get really get that nice pop of white that we want when we're doing our embossing. So I'm going to go ahead and ink up my rose. And then because this is photopolymer, I'm going to stamp on a Stampin' mat. I'm going to go ahead and give a really good press. And then immediately, and I do mean immediately, I'm going to come in with my tray. I've done my grid paper right there. I'm going to come in with my, I've got all the colors of the embossing, but I'm going to use the white embossing powder. And I'm going to pour it immediately on the flower. Give it a flick. And then you can see how there's a powder there. I'm not going to show you the rest of it because that would be another class and another technique, but I would use my embossing tool. It would heat emboss it, and then that's how we got that. It's like a plastic. Like if you've ever seen business cards that like have that nice embossing on it, it's like a plastic. It's a heated powder. That's what it is. So I wanted to show you that this was one of the most, this was one of my favorite things when I first learned how to stamp. This is one of the very first things, and it's one of my favorite things. And so you just take the heat gun and you heat it, and you, it's really hot. It's hotter than a blow dryer, so be really careful. That's why you want to use the tweezers. You're going to use these tweezers, and you're going to, it makes a very loud noise and it takes a long time. So, but you would just hold it very steady, and you would watch it materialize. So just tuck that in the back of your mind as just a super fun thing. Maybe I'll do a class just on embossing later. You guys want me to do that? Do a class just on embossing? Well, let me know if you do. And then we take this tray, and there's a little spout here. You open that up and you pour your powder back into the little container. So that was just, if you're trying to get to 35, 50, or 100, those are just some ideas of some things that you could do. But again, now I'm going to slow down, and now I'm going to show the watercolor. So I've got my roses, and they're heat embossed on shimmer white, and they're ready to go. So you can see that the roses were done with like a little bit of yellow and a little bit of pink. And so really you can use any of the yellows or any of the pinks that you have. You're just going to want to go a little bit lighter or darker with the ink, either heavier on the water or heavier on the ink, depending how dark you want your flowers. And so I'll show you that. So so I've got this guy, and I've got re-inkers. Today I'm gonna use So Saffron, Daffodil Delight, and Polished Pink. And I'll put my Melon Mambo off to the side. He was a little bit too dark for my taste. So I've got this silicone mat that I'm gonna use. And then I always take my paper pumpkin box when I'm going to do this technique, just to protect my work surface. I'm going to put my rose inside of my box. I'm going to take my spritzer tool. I've got an aqua painter tool. So I'm going to get my colors lined up here. So like I said, I'm doing So Saffron, doing Daffodil Delight, and I'm doing Polished Pink. And I always put my colors on my mat from light to dark so that when I'm working, I know that I'm going from light to dark. But I also always put the ink bottles next to them just so I can remember what color is where. So those are some techniques that I use. I realized that was off camera. So I've got my saffron, and I've got my daffodil, and I've got my polished pink. And now we can get started. So this is a spritzer tool, and it just has water in it. I'm going to go ahead and spray the rose, and I'm going to spray it really, really liberally. And then I'm going to take my water painter, and I'm going to start with my lightest color first. I'm going to start with So Saffron, and I'm actually off screen dipping this into a little bit of water so that this is a little bit moist too. I could also squeeze and get water out of the tip, but I want to start with this really, really watered. And I'm going to start off to the side first. I waited too long. I'm going to start off to the side first, because especially the first time you do it, sometimes you get, let me show you what it looks like if you do it, I guess, wrong, I would say, or too dark. Like sometimes you do it and like, yeah, that's not even showing. It gives a stain. So you really want to make sure you have a lot of water. So I got this loaded up with water. I got that really, really loaded up with water. And then I started off to the side, and then I kind of came in and did my color. So now I'm going to take a look. I keep cleaning this off in water because water's our friend here today. So now I'm looking at it and I realize that's like a little bit too dark. So I'm going to come in with some water and spray it the right way. And this water color is so fun. So you can move it around. You can move it around. You can take some off. You can let it sit just exactly like that. So I'm going to pull some of it off. I kind of want to let the drops go to the bottom. Now the plastic of the embossing is going to hold it. So I kind of want to let it go to the bottom because I'm going to get a really cool technique where it's a little bit darker and a little bit shaded. But I feel like I almost have maybe too much there. So I'm going to try to release some of it. So now this guy, we're just going to keep this guy plain yellow. So I'm going to get some of that off to just off. And I'm just going to let it sit there. And that's going to be that first guy. And here's what I want to say. I probably, those are the pumpkins. I probably made, I kind of used up a couple of the roses already. I mean, I probably made 6 roses to start out with, just because maybe the first one isn't going to be the way you like it, or maybe there's a learning curve, or maybe you want to try out different colors, and maybe the next one you want to do daffodil. So I've got a number of different roses, and then I'm going to pick the ones that I like. And the other thing is, on your card, I've got one that's just yellow, and then I'm going to have one that's just pink, and then I'm going to have one that's like the Princess Diana Peace Rose, and it's got a little bit of both. So I just have that guy sitting off to the side. And if you can see, like, let me show you on this pumpkin maybe. If you can see how that's like darker there and lighter there, the darker is like where those pools are. So those pools are going to color a little bit darker. If you don't want that, if you want it more even toned, you can lift those, you can spread it, you can move the water around. But if you want kind of I mean, I just love a watercolor look and I love it mixed and matched everywhere. So that's when the water pools, it kind of goes to the bottom. So before I go to the next one, let me ask if there's any questions. All right, not
Do
hearing
you
any.
use a heat gun on low to dry that ever?
You could. I just kind of do mass production and I put it off to the side, but you absolutely could. Just note that when you use the heat gun, two things to keep in mind. The air from the heat gun will move the water around, so that will give a different shape and a color, which it's watercolor. You can't control it anyway, like you think you can, but you can't. And then be careful of the plastic because we heat embossed this embossing for the plastic. So low would be fine. High, you want to be careful because then you could come in and burn the image that you originally had. So I absolutely have when I've been in a hurry, for sure. Usually I try to plan ahead, like I did, I don't know, so many of these pumpkins for a swap. And I basically just sat there and then I put them off to the side and I ignored them for a day. And then I came back in and I die cut them. But you absolutely could. Yeah.
Do you suggest that we make a few pumpkins? You suggest we make a few flowers?
I absolutely suggest that you make a few to practice. This is not something like, I wish I could show you. When I sat down to do it after not having done it for a while, let's see if I can do it. I've been really practicing so I don't do it wrong, but let me see if I can show you like a wrong. So you'll be really bummed out if you do it wrong and it's your only one, right? And the other thing is, I mean, watercolor, this is meant to take time. This is fun. This is not a like sit down, paper pumpkin, get it done in 10 minutes. This is like an experience, right? So let me just show you. Let's say I don't have enough water. So I'm going to come in here and this is Melon Mambo. This is going to be darker. Well, let me just do it on this one. So let's say I come in and I do this. Well, even that looks good. I can't do it wrong right now. So
good for you.
I'll try to come up with one that's wrong, but yes, Linda, I absolutely encourage you to practice and play and make up a bunch of them and then pick your favorite ones, right? Like, and maybe do different colors. Maybe try like earlier I was playing, let's see, well, I'll show you. I was playing before we got together again today, just because it's been a while and I wanted to remember which pink it was, right? So the polished pink is the lighter and the Mambo is the darker. Well, for sure I'm going to go with the polished pink just for the look that we're going for. So you even want to see if the color does what you want it to. And it could even be the same color that you used before. Maybe I used Mambo before, but I was using less water today. So yes, this is a thing to practice and play. Here's a difference between saffron and daffodil. That's saffron, that's daffodil. So I know you can't necessarily see it exactly, but that's kind of playing with the different yellows. This kind of gets at what I'm talking about. If you don't have enough water and you come in with your water painter, you could get this in the middle of your image. And then really there's no coming back from that. It's in the paper, it's ink. There's no amount of water and moving stuff around. That kind of gets at what I'm talking about. So you definitely want lots of water. You definitely want practice. Here's another reason why to practice. I was embossing and I knew it as I was doing it, but I didn't finish my rows correctly, even at the heating stage, right? So then that's a great one. Keep your mistakes. And then that was a good one to practice on for the color. So yes. Practice and play. You might even serendipitously discover some colors you didn't even know. Like you will discover things that you love.
And you're layering the flowers. So even if you don't like all of the flower, you can use the portion that you do like.
That is really
that's a good thing. Good thought, Doris.
That is really true. Yeah, for this guy, you have no idea what's underneath all of that, do you? So now I do want to say this technique, I do this and then I die cut. If you're really brave, you could stamp it and you could stay within the lines and don't go out of the lines, and you could try to see if you can get one without die cutting. I'm just going to tell you, for me, I put it on a 3x3 piece of paper and I stamp it and I die cut it. So yeah. And by the way, I do want to say a moment, because there's some of you who got this kit who aren't ready for this technique yet. I showed other coloring techniques last week. Exactly with the happiness kit, you could just cut out the rows from the designer series paper. So I realize this, if you got this kit and you're not ready for this yet, you can still absolutely make this card. Just fussy cut a rose or stamp it and color it, or use a different rose if you don't even have this. So absolutely work up
May
to
I ask
it.
a question?
Please. Yeah.
I would like to, where are the instructions for this?
I know they're coming. I had to
Oh,
fix
okay.
I wrote the wrong folding instructions, and so I pulled the PDF because I had them dyslexically transposed. So now that my room is reorganized and I found the card and I found my ruler, now I can get you guys the PDF. So yeah, I promise I'll have that today. So I'm gonna go on. Now I've got 2 roses on here. So I'm going to start with one just in the other, just because I had a lot of space on the paper. So I'm going to come here. Again, I'm going to saturate my rose. This one I'm going to do with yellows and pinks. So I want to make sure my brush is clean, and I'm going to come in, and I'm really getting it pretty wet over here too. I'm starting off because I don't want to get that mark in my rose. And I'm just going to let that sit like that. And I'm going to let that sit for a minute. Now you could do one of 2 things. You could either like let that dry and then come in and then add your pink. You could use the heat gun on low and let it dry and add your pink. Or you could be really, really brave, add your pink on the outside and let them kind of touch and connect. So I'm going to let it dry a little bit because I don't want the pink to overtake it. And I'm going to come up to this upper corner and I'm only going to do pink. And maybe we'll do, well, I only did the polished. So we'll come up here and we'll only do polished pink. So I'm cleaning my brush really, really well. I have a bucket of water over here. You can squeeze this absolutely and, brush it off over here and get it dry. But water's our friend here, and you really, really want, to clean. Like I didn't want any yellow over here. So I'm just kind of coming in and I'm going to do this whole guy in pink. This is polished pink. The Melon Mambo I showed you ended up being a little bit too dark for my taste. But you can see I'm leaving some dark spots. I'm going to leave those right there. I'm just going to let them stay right there. And again, where we're headed is we're going to have one yellow rose, we're going to have one pink rose, and we're going to have one Princess Diana hybrid rose. Early on in our days, Bob bought me a Princess Diana rose bush, and oh my goodness, it was so sweet. All right, now I'm gonna come in and very bravely. So if you can see, I touched just that leaf right there. Let me pull it up. I'm gonna let it run, but while I've done that, I want to show you. It will stay within the plastic walls. It will stay within the plastic walls. I don't want that, but if I did want it, I could have that. And it takes a lot of patience to paint each leaf. This is not a fast thing. But I want a little bit of mix, so I'm going to come in and do that. But you see, you can isolate it. You can isolate your different colors. Let's say you're doing a butterfly and you really wanted to isolate that. You could. I guess the thing I would say about watercolor is it's not really one for precision and control. I mean, you can, but you really got to practice and you really got to learn it. And I mean, water, it's kind of the fun of it. You don't know exactly what you're going to get. So I'm coming in, again, this is polished pink. Melon Mambo I thought was a little too dark. And I'm just kind of I touched in the middle a little bit. I let them combine a little bit. I let them like marry a little bit, and I've got just some pure pink. And none of that was like strategically on purpose. I just was kind of playing with what was there. So it looks a little darker now. As it dries, it's definitely going to go more subtle. So I'm going to let that dry. I'm going to put it off to the side. Any questions before? Well, I'm going to do one more rose and then I'm going to go on to the pumpkins, which are different colors. So any colors, any questions on these roses?
I would be tempted to play around and do a wash with the colors that I wanted, and then stamp the rose where I thought it would best pick up.
You want to make sure it's really, really dry, and you want to make sure that you absolutely use your embossing buddy, because the risk is that the embossing powder would stick in places where you don't want it to stick. But that sounds really fun. You could also do this technique without embossing. I think I would use like a StazOn ink for this, but you could do the same thing where you do your wash and then you come back in with your StazOn ink and your Stamparatus, and you get a good solid print and you play exactly where you want to play. So yeah, Terry, I can't wait to see what you come up with. So that sounds super fun. So now we see our So Saffron Rose drying over here, and he's a lot more subtle than he was when he first started out. And you can see the places where the dark pooling was, you can see that it really, really dried.
So if you wanted that, Leela, to be darker, say you were, would you have to do another one, or can you add to that? Can you add color to on
why
top
don't
of
we try to add? You know, I don't know that I've ever done that. So why don't we try to add and find out that answer? And while I'm doing that, and that's why you want the shimmer white or the watercolor paper. Terry, for the technique, by the way, that you talked about, I would definitely use shimmer white and not watercolor, because watercolor paper is so bumpy too, right? So you really want a smoother paper. Shimmer white's going to be smoother. So let's just do that, Linda. Let's just try it. I don't know what's going to happen. Let's just do it. So I'm going to spray it. Does it reactivate it? Doesn't appear to. Now I've got daffodil, right? I don't have saffron. Oh no, I do. I have saffron, I have daffodil. So while I'm taking daffodil anyway, let's see what happens. So no, I'm gonna stick with saffron. I'm gonna stick with saffron. Okay, that's this guy, because I always go light to dark, and I've got him watered. So let me come in and, well, let me do dark where it was light so that we can answer our question. There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. All right. So I'm going to say, Linda, that the answer is probably yes.
Looks like it.
There you go. I do want to share just for a nanosecond, because a couple of you guys have been with me like a really long time, and I talked up these pigment powders. I haven't done it, but if you still have those pigment powders, I bet the same thing would work with those, and I bet those colors would be wow. But can't get them anymore, so I'm not talking about them. But I do like you guys to get your money and your value and use the tools you have. All right, so I'm going to move on to pumpkins if there's no more questions. And I'm not going to show you how I die cut these, but basically I let them dry, and I do let them dry for at least, I don't know, at least 4 hours. For me, I just do a bunch of them and I walk away and then come back, and then I roll it through and I do the die cutting. So we're just gonna let those, we're not coming back to those again. But what you would do is you would just die cut them and then you would arrange them how you like them. You guys got in the kit, you got a number of different colored papers, so you don't even have to stick with the yellow and the pink. You could do like pool party and Bermuda Bay, or pool party and like an apple green or something, so, or a yellow. So anyway, you can play with your colors, and I hope you do. So now I'm gonna move saffron, mambo, and polished pink aside. I'm going to keep daffodil. Oh, I did have one more rose. Well, we're not doing them. I have daffodil, I have blushing bride, and I have pumpkin pie. And I'm gonna move this silicone mat, and I've got another one. So now we're gonna do the pumpkin, and the pumpkin is from the Hello Harvest kit. You can do this technique with any open line stamp, right? So you can do it with a rose, you can do it with a pumpkin. I tried it on this guy. I think I threw it away. It didn't look too good. You can take the time and try to be really, really patient, but I didn't have success with it. And I don't think it's for fine line stamps. It's for more open area stamps. So you can do this with any pumpkin, any rose, any flower that's kind of open area. So let's play with the pumpkin a little bit. And yeah, that's what we're gonna do next. And I'll show you the card. Some of you guys gave input on this, and I want to thank you very, oh, where'd the bow go? Hold on, must show. So I was creating a swap. I made so many of these for a swap the other day, and some of you guys gave input on coloring and just really contrast. So I want to thank you. This was the final card that ended up.
Oh, pretty.
Thank you. And I stamped like little soft suede curly cues on here. So so anyway, that's how the final card ended up. Thank you for some of you that were like, Leela, your colors are too subtle and there's not enough contrast. So this was the final guy. So I made up a bunch of these pumpkins, and I'm just going to show you today how we can color that. And I just want to show you, well, I'll show you after. So I've got Daffodil Delight, Blushing Bride. What? Blushing Bride. So Blushing Bride is exactly as you would think the color is. It's a very, very light color. And the reason I ended up with these colors is because I was playing with the Cottage Gingham Designer Series paper, I think. You guys, I'll be doing a Stamp-a-Stack with this paper. I haven't decided what yet, but I was playing with this Cottage Gingham paper. And so the color Daffodil Delight, Blushing Bride, Pumpkin Pie, right? So I love that our colors match. I love that our colors match. So I said, why don't I just stick with the same colors for the pumpkin then, right? So same thing. Now I'm going to do a new box, and I'll tell you why I'm doing a new box, because the other one has all the old pink in it and all the other colors. And I just, even if it were dry, I don't want to reactivate all those dark pinks and get that in here. So I'm starting out with new colors.
What if you don't have boxes to do it in?
What are you going to do? Well,
I'm just going to make a mess, probably.
I do not know how to answer that question.
Okay.
I have so many boxes. Linda, just get some from me the next time you're here. Like,
Hey, Aunt Janet.
Yeah.
Jolene and I use the plastic pencil boxes. And we have actually one of them that we poked a hole in the bottom. And when we do it, we tape the bottom so that the hole is covered. But it works the same way. And I like how she did the paper inside of it. I'm going to start doing that in my pencil box.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, a plastic tray, Linda, would be washable and then reusable, right? So
That's true. That's a good idea.
Yeah. The point is, I think, protect your surfaces. So I've got my spritzer and I've got my pumpkin. I did the pumpkin the very same way that I did the rose. And you can see I've got this extra mark here from like overstamping. It doesn't matter because I'm going to die cut it. So I'm going to spritz this with water and get it good and saturated. I'm going to clean off my paintbrush. I've got a bucket of water off to the side. And I'm going to start with my Daffodil Delight. And I'm going to start it off. And I kind of did just a wash everywhere for the Daffodil Delight, and that even feels too thick for me, so I'm going to try to get some of that off. And that's that. Now I'm going to come in with a little bit of Blushing Bride and making sure that I still have water, and I do. I'm going to just kind of put that little bit of pink in there. I love pink and orange. I love pink and orange. I love pink and orange. So my pumpkin has pink and orange. You can't really tell it when you're looking at it, but there you go. And then my final thing I'm going to come in with, and I'll show you how I did the pumpkin pie. The pumpkin pie is the darkest. And so you can't, let me go off to the side here. I'm really getting it like diluted over here, so I'm not taking a full strength pumpkin pie, and I'm making sure that I've got enough water, and then I just kind of let it come in from the top, and I let it kind of come in from the bottom. And I might do a little bit there. And then that guy is just going to be pumpkin number 1, and he's going to have his little personality. And so I will show you, like, I had so much fun doing the pumpkins. So you can see the yellow, you can see the little bit of Blushing Bride, you can see that, I mean, these are exactly those same 3 colors. So it looks, you know, different when it's wet versus dry, but that's how it dries. And so here I've got pumpkins. I have kind of the orange throughout. Here I have the orange more concentrated on the bottom, and you can absolutely control that. Like, you can move your water around and you can shift it. You can take your brush in and pull it up. So yeah, I just did, each different pumpkin just has its own little personality. Here I put more of the color at the top. That one is kind of just colored throughout. So it's just a bit of all just different. And I mean, you can try to control it, but it's one of those things.
Oh, all the pumpkins, I mean, the natural pumpkins are different, so.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember when I used to be way more perfectionist, and I took a watercolor class. This was years ago in Campbell, and somebody was like, Leela, why are you in this class? I was so frustrated because I couldn't control it. But now I'm like, oh my gosh, just play and have fun and see what happens serendipitously. So you guys, let me pause and see. I'll do one more pumpkin. I'll kind of put this off to the side. I'll do one more. And then that's kind of going to be it for our watercolor technique. I'll repeat, those of you that have these kits, you don't have to do this technique right away. You can work up to this. This has a lot of advanced stuff. It's got embossing, and that's its own technique. I'm happy to do a class on that one day. It's got watercolor. It's got some supplies you may or may not have. So this is like a little more advanced. You might want to work up to. But honestly, embossing was the first thing that got me into stamping. So it's not that advanced. Like, it just takes a little learning and a little bit of fun and a little bit of tools. So it's kind of, some of it you got to learn, like, what do you love to do and what don't you love to do? Some people like love fussy cutting. They're going to come in, and the way that they're going to do these roses, they're going to fussy cut the designer series paper. Some people love coloring with blends. Last time we colored with Wink of Stella and ink. You can fussy cut, you can die cut, you can color with blends. So really part of this journey is like, find out who you are, find out like what you love, and find out what you're good at and what you're not good at, and be brave. So yeah, I love watercolor now. Like, it was the first thing I did. Oh my gosh, it was the first thing I did when we moved into this house and I set up a stamp room. And it's the first thing I did when I just got the stamp room redesigned. It was like, I just let myself go and play. So that's going to be that little personality. So here's what I mean by moving. I can move the water this way, and so I can get everything on the left. I can move everything to the bottom, and then I'll have everything at the bottom. I can use my painter and just like whisk away all that color and just get a more subtle effect. So yeah. What questions or ideas or thoughts do you have?
Well, I don't have a lot of re-inkers, so I'll just have to use the ink pad on the top. That's all I can do.
Yeah. Linda,
have to
let's
put-
do that. Let's do that. Let's do that. So here's an ink pad.
Some ink pads are a pain in the butt to.
I know.
That's
To
the way
open, to open, if it's difficult to open, just open it more. Like open it
No.
5 or 10 more times, and then it'll loosen up.
No, I was talking about trying to get I like your idea better. I was talking about trying to get the ink on the top of the lid, you know, where you squeeze it.
Oh, that's really the old style. That doesn't work so well with this style.
So do the other way. Yeah.
Do this,
Okay.
or put it on a block. You could put it on a
Right.
block.
Okay.
Honestly, if you don't have the silicone mat, you
I
can
do.
use a block like that, and you
I
can
like
kind of
using that
layer-
block.
So you
I
can
like
put
using that
little,
block.
yeah, you can put drops on there. The other thing, I just reordered. These are since 2007. I have had these markers since 2007 when I joined, so I just reordered them. So they're super dry. But if yours aren't, yeah, that's a waste. I should just throw it away because I'm getting new ones and it's not good anymore. But so you could try using markers too, is what I was trying to say. But yeah, you could use that. Linda, I know you bought these pigments, didn't you?
No, Terry did.
Oh, well then, never mind. But I think those would work. But let's just do it with the, let's just do it with that daffodil. And then while I'm doing that, what other questions are there?
Looks like fun.
Oh my gosh, it's so much fun. Oh my God, I swear to goodness, that was the first thing I did when I got my room. So yeah, see, it works fine.
Yeah.
Works perfectly fine. Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
All righty. All right, so girls, that's it. I'm just gonna close. What am I gonna close with? Oh, I'm gonna show you just some other swaps. I've been swapping like a maniac, so I'll just close with some swaps and kind of remind you what the ordering special is. So the ordering special, order by tomorrow. Also team kit, if you're gonna order the team kit, which is this, order by tomorrow, because then I'm gonna assemble it and put it together and get it shipped out. But you can get these cards free if you order a minimum $35.50 or $100. So you can get those cards free. And I'll show you some swaps I got. This is swaps with the Rings of Love paper. So this is at $50. Stampin' Up! Gives one thing you could pick is this designer series paper for free, Rings of Love. So here's some different examples with it.
Love that paper.
I think that Fox might be.
That's stylish sketches or something, some kind of sketches.
Okay. Is he in the Celebration or he's in the regular catalog?
Celebration.
Okay, so you could get this guy free. You could get this paper free, minimum $50 purchase. Of course, those are our decal dies. Terry, this one's for you. You love little squirrels. Look at that little sweetie. He works so perfectly with that paper. Oh my goodness, that sweet face.
I made a couple of them.
Aww.
Recently.
This paper is free. Hippos are free. Dies are free. Those are 3 different free with minimum $50 purchase. Reminder, you get hippos free if you sign up for bingo. I've collected a bunch of them. So if you sign up for bingo, you get the stamps free. Then that frees you up to get different things. You could get the die cuts for your $50 or the designer series paper. Here is the Rings of Love matching product from the annual catalog. And so it's kind of cool what she did here with this fold. She that's I guess an embossing folder, and so she kind of did that. And this, by the way, is Shelley Gruber. And so those are those dies. So that's the matching, everything coordinates. So you can get just the paper or you could get the matching dies and stamps. So those are the matching dies and stamps. Here's these sweet little birdies and this kind of birch tree die, super sweet. So that's the Rings of Love. more Rings of Love, designer series paper. This roll technique, lots of people are doing that. I think that stamp set's free. That paper's free. Hippos are free. Celebration. This is not. This is a Wash and Beauty. That was a brain blip. This is the Rings of Love. And then I don't know which stamp set that is, but super cute, right? So that's that. And then the other samples I have, because I'm kind of shifting to autumn. Not well, I'm still going to do summer, but since I'm doing the pumpkin, here's the pumpkin stamp set that I showed you today and the matching paper. So that's kind of a fun card there. Here we've done this.
Yeah, nice.
So there's the pumpkins and the dies. Here's that pumpkin in black and white. Stunning. Stunning. And then here's that pumpkin in kind of a fun fold. So yeah, so girls, that's it for today. And expect that PDF tonight, you guys. I'm sorry that I wrote I've been moving. Anyway, expect it tonight. And expect me to be back onto my skeleton calendar in my my calendar. So yeah, that's
So
it.
we have to order team kit, make and take tomorrow, right?
Yeah, at minimum, let me know that you want it, Linda, because I'm going to do production. So at minimum,
Well, I
let me
still
know.
owe you money for one, so I'll say 2 and pay for 2, but I only want 1 in the mail.
Okay, perfect. Okay, you got one. All righty. I'm
Then
going to
how
stop.
do we know what you decide on for your next,
Yeah, let me stop recording. I got to figure out how to stop recording, and then I'll come back to you face to face. Where is it?